Good afternoon, everybody. Mr. Jawad Abbasi, good afternoon. A pleasure to see you online this evening, and a pleasure to have been speaking to you before. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to also welcome Mr. Jawad Abbasi, who is Head of Middle East and North Africa for GSMA, which is virtually a global organization that unifies the mobile ecosystems to discover, develop, innovate, foundational to positive business environments. Today our topic is about mobile in the region of the Mediterranean countries. I've got to say that I have used data from GSMA earlier today, so thank you very much for making such extremely interesting data available. Now, thank you very much. Now, I have a few questions which are very worrying. You know, we're looking at the Mediterranean, how to make it more prosperous, how to bridge gaps, how to reduce inequality, how to also promote industry, help rural areas, allow young people to have a future in their own countries without having to leave and not have a future at all, or not have a future at all. So leaving aside all the government and political issues that also are involved in trying to build the platform and the infrastructures for the younger generation. When we're looking at the industry, and today's industry, and we're now living in the fourth industrial revolution, is taking place as we speak. It's been going on for some time now. Yeah. I'd say that virtually 93% of the world population has a smartphone, and 95% of the world is covered by broadband networks, according to your data. Yeah, but 40% of the population that covered by these networks are facing barriers. Now, this is something that Mr. Abbasi and I had spoken about before, and it is extremely important to understand. Now, in the low and middle and medium income nations, yeah, this big gap is definitely focused on the rural areas. But the user gap is very interesting because we keep hearing all the time about the gap when it comes to the operational side. But the user gap, yeah, or the usage gap rarely is spoken about, and this again is something that hinders the potential development of those areas that could really benefit from this mobility, this digitalization, from this revolution. Mr. Abbasi, could you tell us a little bit more about, because I know that you have statistics that you'd like to share with us, and also have great projects in place.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. As you know, I head the MENA region at the GSMA. The GSMA is the Association of Mobile Operators globally, and I'm in charge of the Middle East and North Africa region. I'll start with some good news. The mobile broadband networks are the largest connectivity platform on the face of the earth. For example, on 5G, there are 220 mobile operators that have commercially launched 5G in 75 countries. And by the end of the year, there will be 1 billion 5G connections around the world. Also, the proportion of the world's population that's covered by mobile broadband networks has been steadily going down from over 1 billion a few years ago to just 400 million people who have no coverage of mobile broadband networks. This is the coverage gap. So the coverage gap has been decreasing steadily as mobile networks coverage has expanded, and as more advances in technology has allowed operators to advance coverage in remote areas. Now, the problem remains with what we call the usage gap. There are around 8 billion people in the world. 3.6 billion people live within the services of good mobile broadband networks, but they're actually not internet users, nor are they mobile broadband users. Now, this hinders their inclusion in the economy, inclusion in advanced services, hinders their opportunities for economic and employment and economic growth and so on. So this usage gap stems from multiple factors. It could be education, it could be affordability, it could be societal issues and so on. And it really requires a lot of work on all the stakeholders to lower that usage gap and make sure that those 3.2 billion people start using mobile broadband networks. It will require investments by mobile operators. It will require government policies that expand broadband access, enhance education, because imagine the opportunity that having 3.6 billion new customers online and using the mobile internet, the advances in their quality of life and the advances in the economies that they live in at large. So we can all agree that the mobile is one of the greatest technology success stories of all time, and it makes significant socio-economic contribution. We definitely need to address the coverage gap and the usage gaps to make sure that nobody is left behind. So a lot of great progress has happened, but with 3.6 billion people not using the internet, even though they can use it and even though they can make use of its potential to improve their lives, to improve their employability, improve their income levels, is something that we need to work diligently on together.
Thank you very much. What do you believe would be when we're looking at the Mediterranean regions, countries, what would the time frame be, or do you believe, to reduce this usage gap? Because I do believe that in the Mediterranean, the coverage gap is lesser, but the usage gap definitely in certain specific nations is still quite important. What do you think the time frame would be? Because naturally this is also can impulse industry, help the people, because right now they have many times lack of information, lack of understanding, and this is a way of these people also gaining knowledge even in remote areas.
Absolutely. So there are short-term measures, medium-term measures, and long-term measures. Short-term measures will probably revolve around taxation policy, making sure that the mobile internet service is more affordable to more sections of society. Also, when government services become more digital, when we advance the solutions of mobile wallets and we include people in the mobile wallets and therefore include them have more financial inclusion for them, that enhances the services, the very useful services that can be used by mobile, and therefore will allow people to upgrade their phones and start using mobile internet. So these are medium-term ones. Of course, investments in education, because digital literacy and literacy remain major barriers towards using the internet and lowering the usage gap. So basically, taxation policy, more digitization of government services, getting more relevant social contextual content for the users, and also more focus on technological education and basic literacy education.
Okay, so thank you very much for your answer. You've given us solutions, short, mid, and long-term projects that are working on. But this, what you're addressing, what we're currently seeing today when it comes to the usage gap, has been around for quite a few years now. And it is true that it has reduced, but potentially not fast enough to help some of these areas. Now, what has to be done? Yeah, because not everything is profit. We also need to look at the social aspects, the social obligations, ethical obligations of companies to return or give to communities. So what can we do to try and impulse so that especially the operators, not just government, but operators, would move ahead and say, okay, this is our philanthropic, this is our move. We're not greenwashing. This is what we are going to do. Yeah, because right now I know in many, many countries, you know, how it works. There's not enough population. Okay, there's no coverage. There's no antenna.
Absolutely. As you know, many companies invest in CSR projects, advancing community centers for ICT learning, making sure that education in schools caters to technology, uh, giving people example of how the internet and the use of the internet can make their life easier, can save them money, paying bills online will reduce the amount you're spending in queuing to pay bills. Also, using advanced technology can help you start home businesses, whereby you can enhance your income and so on. So, it's many of our companies are investing in CSR activities towards letting people know the potential of technology and enhancing technological inclusion and financial inclusion. Now, let me steer a bit to something where the mobile industry can really help. As you know, COP26, COP27 is now in Egypt, in Sharm el Sheikh. We realize that in four sectors, only in four sectors, if we start using mobile technology, such as in the energy sector, in the transport sector, buildings and manufacturing, we can actually reduce the carbon footprint by 11 gigatons of carbon by 2030, which is 40% of the total required reduction for COP26. So away a bit from the usage gap to how the mobile technology can really help in the world addressing its climate concern. Because once we also address the climate concern, we improve the lives of lower and middle income people who tend to actually be affected the worst by climate change. So there's a huge potential for the mobile industry. We understand the challenges, and of course, overcoming them requires the cooperation of policy makers, governments, the companies themselves, and of course, the rest of the ecosystem involved.
Thank you. I was going to speak, I'd written down like we're looking at a collaborative approach. But it is very true when we have these meetings at global level, in this case on the environment, a lot is said, papers are signed, but we don't usually see the impact because obviously trying to reduce your carbon footprint has a cost. Definitely has a cost. Yeah, it's switching from a non-green to a renewable energy, etc. So my question here is, how do you believe, speaking about, which is great news, what you've just told us, I think it's fantastic to reduce 11 billion tons. I think that is, that is very, very, very good news. How is that going to help these individuals that do today somehow have problems with the usage of the mobile? How because that is very positive. Love the fact that the mobile industry can really have a positive impact and help our world become more sustainable, and therefore the industry a more sustainable industry. But what about these people that right now do have the network, the coverage is there, but they do not know how to use it? How is that going to benefit them?
Yeah, again, the people who the people who are not using the mobile services and the mobile internet, because they don't know how to use it. The easy solution and the short-term solution is education. So spending on technology education in schools, in communities, to avail people the chance to use mobile technology, and then it becomes a virtuous cycle. Once they can use the mobile internet, and once there are enough digital government services and utility services, if using it makes their life easier, saves them a lot of money. Again, bill payments, mobile wallets. Many in a country like Jordan, for example, middle income country, but 70% of the population do not have a bank account. And it's mainly because banks tend to be more expensive. So mobile wallets during COVID-19, when the government said we will be dispersing cash assistance not by hand but digitally, many people opted for mobile money, and that adoption of mobile money wallets have really improved the lives of people. So, for example, a handyman now gets paid through the mobile wallet, and then he or she pays their utility bills, he pays their water and electricity, and charges their phone without having to go to a bank or to a shop, or spending time in queues, or paying for gasoline or transportation to pay for the bills. So this virtuous cycle entices their neighbors to also look at mobile money. And once you have that, you've really increased financial inclusion, and give the people who haven't decided to use the mobile internet to start using it. So this is the kind of positive changes that we're looking at. Climate change, the industry is committed to 2050, having full carbon neutrality by 2050. Most of our members have committed to that, and they do that by using green technology. But more importantly, not just the industry itself reducing its carbon footprint, using mobile technology with artificial intelligence and big data in major sectors, like we've highlighted, can really help multiple economic sectors reduce their carbon footprint. Once we hopefully successfully tackle climate change, the climate will not deteriorate so much that it will further hurt low and middle income countries, and that would for sure, improve their lives, because there will be less floods that affect them, or less droughts that affect them in the future.
Thank you very much, Sadid. I definitely, this collaborative approach, due to the wide number of stakeholders that directly and indirectly are part of this mobile ecosystem, I think I have no doubts that we'll see a far better world and a juster world. I'd like to thank you very much today, and I was going to ask whether anybody has any questions.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions, please, for Mr. Abbasi? No. Okay. Just one moment, please. They're waiting for the microphone. Well, it seems that yes. Okay, sorry, Mr. Abbasi. Okay.
No problem.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sorry for the delay. So my question has to do with actually the advancements of telecommunications, and specifically the idea of a mobile wallet. So of course, it's incredibly convenient, and also something that's incredibly diverse in how it can be used. However, my question is specifically, what if this is developed to a point where it's adopted like very commercially? I mean, we're getting that point already, let's be honest, but there's going to be a transitional period potentially where physical cash is maybe not even going to be used anymore. That could maybe have some problems in regards to digital payments and cash payments when we inevitably cross that road of maybe we stop using cash altogether. What are your thoughts regarding pushing to a full digital future with mobile finance?
Thank you.
It's a very good movement. Hopefully we will eventually stop using cash because it's actually not hygienic. It collects dirt and viruses and bacteria. That's one thing. But also it's not traceable. If we want to advance our economies, we need to have as much of a formal economy as we can. So when everybody is being paid by mobile wallets, the bills are being paid by mobile wallets or by digital banking or what have you, that expands the share of the formal economy, that increases the tax base, which gives governments more resources to spend on social benefits such as education and healthcare. So mobile wallets are good in every sense, and especially in middle-income countries and lower-income countries, is when they're not heavily taxed, like in many countries, they are an excellent alternative to the more expensive banking systems. So we've seen in countries where mobile wallets were introduced, a much larger percent of the population are now banked. They're no longer financially not included. They're financially included. That saves them a lot of efforts, and that expands the formal economy, and that also allows them to enhance their income levels. So it's a win-win situation. And again, it's you want to fight crime, you want to fight money laundering. The best way to do it is to make all transactions traceable, and that's what mobile wallets do.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jawad Abbasi. I am afraid that we haven't more time today. I think it's a topic that we could be speaking about for a long, long time. I really appreciate the fact that you found the time to be with us today. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Abbasi.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure, and thank you very much.
Thank you.